Hi, my name is Colleen Martin, and I work at San Luis Obispo High School in the College and Career Center. You also might know me from Lucia Mar. I'm on the school board at Lucia Mar. I've worked at San Luis High for 12 years. And I have two kids who have long gone through college. But one of the things that makes me unique is it took me 30 years to finish college. So I know a whole lot about college, and I've been to UC, CSU, the community colleges, private schools, the whole gambit. So we're going to run through this PowerPoint. Hopefully you can see my screen share. And I only have a half an hour, so I want to leave some time at the end for questions. Please, if I ask a question, feel free to answer it in the chat, and we can go from there. Preparing students for college and life. What? Whoa, time out. Went too fast. Sorry. Here we go. What to look for when you're visiting colleges. And you might think, why would I be looking for colleges now? The reason is because it takes a few years of high school to just get ideas together. And really, it takes a long time for you to say, well, how about you look at San Diego State? Maybe when we're on vacation next summer, we'll drive through. And then the next year, you maybe take a tour. These are some of the things that I think that you should look at when you're looking at colleges. Location, size, housing, the proximity to airports. San Luis Obispo finally has a flight to San Diego, so that's exciting. The future, where you would live. One of the things when I went to Pepperdine with my daughter, and I asked them, you know, when you no longer want to live on campus, where can you live? And they said the San Fernando Valley. And I said, well, that's not going to work. We're not going to live in Canoga Park and have her go to school in Malibu. So asking where juniors and seniors, when they no longer want to live in the dorms, live is a really good thing to do. Sports teams, to find out, you know, how much does your child want to have big football maybe, or a rec center, or play on a D3 team, or maybe they're not a D1 kind of kid in their high school, but they're a good enough athlete that they always made like the all-star team and that kind of thing, so they maybe could be a walk-on. And of course, majors. You always want to make sure that the school's big enough that if when your child changes majors, because most kids do in college, that the school's big enough that they don't have to leave the school to find another one. How to successfully transfer from community college to 2 years. And this with COVID is a really big thing. So a lot of people said, well, gee, I'm just going to have my kid go to Cuesta or Allen Hancock because they think that, you know, they're going to be home anyways. And really, this past year, my class of 2020, I encouraged all of them to go to the CSU if they got in. And the reason why was this. One, I think in a few years, it's going to be tough to transfer because there's going to be so many community college kids. Two, transferring in college is a lot like transferring in high school. Imagine your child coming into a high school in 11th grade. It's just not that easy. And so a lot of social groups are made as freshmen. A lot of interests are made. So really, transferring can be tricky. But if you are going to transfer, and I had a son who went to Cuesta because he needed to play water polo, you need to have a plan. And one of the biggest plans I tell kids is to attack the math. If you haven't gone through pre-calculus or calculus in high school, to really dig in and attack the math that you're going to have to do. Math is a gatekeeper to getting out of community college. When I went back in my 40s to college, I had to take algebra, like 9th grade algebra at Cuesta, and do the whole algebra series at Cuesta. And, you know, I had to work at it. And so for kids, when oftentimes they tell me, oh, I dropped my math class, and I'm like, gee, don't do that, because you're just prolonging your exit or you're launching from Cuesta to a 4-year. So you need to treat Cuesta or Hancock like it's college, to take vigorous classes in high school and to be well prepared. And students planning to attend a 2-year college should prepare in high school to have a good academic foundation, the same foundation as if they were going to go to the CSU. Talk early with your kids in finances. 9th grade, talk to them about finances. Don't let it be a surprise that when they're seniors and they're digging into applying to college, that, you know, all of a sudden there's a lot of money involved with just applying, taking the SAT, and then you're realizing, whoa, I don't have $10,000 saved for you. So you really need to be talking to kids honestly about finances, and not just the finances for tuition and housing, but the finances for spending money. I made it very clear to my children that I had no intentions of buying their pizza, and I gave them absolutely no spending money. And that way they worked their senior year and the high school before college to raise the kind of money they would need to have, which I think it takes about $3,000 to have that kind of money for shampoo and, you know, all the extra things that a kid might pay for, whether it's an airline ticket or going to a Dodger game or whatever it might be. Really talking about loans and what they mean and how high a loan. Kids don't understand, and unfortunately colleges make getting student loans really, really easy, and that's to the detriment of our children. So talking early about money and loans and how much loans are appropriate. This is the guidance I give my students at San Luis Obispo High School. I say this: you shouldn't owe in student loans at the end of 4 years more than your starting salary in the job you want to have. So if you're going to be a teacher or an accountant or something, you know the starting pay is, let's say, $50,000 a year. That's probably the max student loan you should take on. So it really might limit your college choices to being a CSU or starting at the community college and living at home and then transferring, knowing more about finances. What are top universities looking for? And this is what all the parents contacted me about at school. How do you get your kid into Stanford? How do you get your kid into Princeton? And I've read quite a few books about this, and I spent one whole summer really delving into this. Top universities are looking for deep, focused, meaningful achievement. And what I mean by is they no longer are really looking for that well-rounded student. They're looking for something that a kid feels strongly about. And so your job as a freshman and a parent of a freshman or a sophomore might be just exposing them to different things. And the way they do that is by getting a job, by volunteering, by taking on an interest, whether it's surfing or gardening or hula hooping, whatever it might be, that they take on an interest and they feel good about it and they really like it. A proven record of success. Oftentimes, test scores and GPA. Well, for the class of 2021 and probably 2022, many schools are going to be test optional, but a good test score can embellish your application. So I recommend kids take the test if they can, if they think that's going to help them, if they're applying to highly selective colleges. A highly selective college includes the UCs, even though the UCs for right now for the class of 2021 has become test optional. And what that means is you can give them your test scores, but you don't have to. So if you think it's going to help you, for heaven's sakes, do it. Activities and experiences that display initiative, passion, innovation, discipline, and leadership. Of course, colleges love to see kids who have gone all the way through Scouts and earned their Eagle Scout or Girl Scouts or something in their church. But really taking on leadership maybe at the school, maybe in government, maybe they're on a committee at their city or in the county, taking on adult leadership roles. And a progression of passion. And what I mean by that is, for instance, my son was a water polo player and he taught swim lessons in the summer. So he was passionate about the pool, aqua things. So he taught swim lessons as a job. He became a water polo coach for young kids as a volunteer. That showed leadership. He was on the water polo and swim team and excelled and had achievement there. So it showed a skill, building skills, but everything had to do with swimming. Okay. And eventually created a swimming lesson scholarship program. So that was the above and beyond, but he's stuck in that same lane, that lane of enjoying being at the pool. Students who are going to contribute, this is what colleges are really looking at. And when I came right down after reading the 2 or 3 books, the 500 pages, this is what they want. The highly selective colleges. Students who are going to contribute positively to the community while in college, to help each other accomplish great things afterwards. And the way they decide those kids are kids who have already proved in high school that they're contributing positively to the community and that help other people. Okay, colleges want to brag about their alumni. And once again, I will say, going to an Ivy League or top university will not guarantee success or happiness. Okay, there are 3,000 four-year colleges out there, and one can be for you. I'm one of 5 kids. Both my parents met at Stanford and went to Stanford. None of us kids went to Stanford. We all have college degrees. We all have led very successful lives. Just because you go to Stanford or Princeton or Yale doesn't mean you're going to be a happy adult. What really matters is that you are doing something you love, of course. This is what's really important for 9th and 10th graders to get a handle on, and it's the high school file system. One of the ways you can do that is to track everything your kid does, and sometimes it might be a mom or a dad who's nudging them, who puts a Post-it note on their desk saying, you know, hey, don't forget to remind yourself to write up your interaction at Coastal Cleanup Day. Or maybe it's you were in the school newspaper and mom is smart enough to print it out and put it on your desk. But really keeping artifacts of almost everything you did in high school will make applying to college so much easier. I cannot even tell you. It might be test scores and AP scores and all that stuff. But oftentimes, let's say you were a camp counselor last summer, the summer you were 15, okay, between 9th and 10th grade, and you had a really good experience. And the director of the day camp really loved you and always said great things about your child. It would behoove your child to right then ask that adult for a letter of recommendation that they hang on to. They might not use it for getting into college, but they very might use it for getting a scholarship or applying to a scholarship. The other thing they might do if they have a really memorable event is to kind of write it up, whether they type it up and email it to themselves or write it up. An example of that would be my daughter was a candy striper at Aurora Grande Hospital. And one Sunday when she was there was a terrible accident. And the sheriff in charge had asked my daughter to arrange transportation for this foreigners who had gotten in a car accident on the train and to find a family for them to stay with overnight so they could get on the train the next day. And she went about, this sheriff had asked her to do all this stuff, so she did. And when the evening was over, she told the sheriff she was 15 years old. And he said, "Oh my goodness, I thought you were much older. I can't believe I asked you to do that." So at that point, when she was telling us the story, I said, with the detail you can remember, write this up so then you won't forget it when it's time to create a story or tell something about yourself in an essay when you're a senior. And this happened now, 2 years beforehand. So that high school file system is really critical and it can be something they do electronically, paper. Like I said, it could be a combination of Post-it notes, whatever it is, make it work for your family. Really important experiences to cultivate for 9th and 10th graders and 11th and 12th too, but working a part-time job. And during COVID, there is a ton of people looking for work. Becoming a camp counselor or some kind of leadership role, starting a club, growing to be president by the time you're a senior, becoming involved with an adult activity. It might be literacy tutoring. It might be helping seniors with their phones, whatever it might be. Starting a business. You'd be surprised how many kids in high school have an online business, selling whatever they do, whether it's they're just selling their mom's old stuff on OfferUp or whatever it might be. Work skills, being on time every day. Creating work skills, whether it's working with the neighbor who's a contractor, whatever it might be, being on time and taking directions from other adults is a very valuable experience for young students. Of course, travel experiences here in the United States, I guess we're very limited this year, but some kind of travel experience is always good to share. And then if your child is into the arts, it's always good in that filing system to start and develop some kind of portfolio, whether it's video, whether it's hard copy, whatever that might be. And then same with sports. If you really think your kid is first team all league kind of material and they're going to get recruited, start to amass stats and videos and clippings and every game, might write up a little something so come senior year what's gone on. Okay. It's really hard during COVID. I know a lot of these things people say, but I really don't want my kid out. There are things you can do to volunteer in the community, even with COVID, okay? A good contact is the Wilshire Hospice. They have a whole program that kids can write letters to seniors that are shut in, or they'll steer you clear for those kind of things. Summertime. By the end of 9th grade, students should be spending some of their summer weeks in pursuit of interests. Unfortunately, a lot of times I ask kids, "What'd you do this summer?" "Nothing." Well, really? That's a lot of nothing. Okay. So kids should get off their duff and do something in the summertime. They could take a community college class. They could work with younger children. They could work. One of the reasons we want young people to work and volunteer is they really learn their likes and dislikes. And those likes and dislikes help them decide their major in college. They learn a new skill. I mean, all summer long, I was telling my kids, tell me you grew a tomato bush. Tell me you learned to surf. Tell me you learned to sew. Tell me something that you learned this summer, okay? Something different. Exploring and having a new skill. One of our families, a friend of our family, had both her high school kids each making dinner one night a week, and they were allowed to research recipes and get all the food together and have it delivered to the house, and they made dinner once a week. And that's a great skill, and it gives them something to talk about in an essay later on when they're applying for scholarships and college. Explore experiences to determine likes and dislikes. That's the big thing, because so many people say, well, how do I know what I want to major in beyond what I got A's in? And so many kids are getting A's in a lot of classes. So having experiences and making decisions about, do I want to work outside? Do I want to work inside? Do I want to work with a lot of people? Do I want to work alone? I don't like to be part of group work. I do like to be part of group work. All those things that we experience help you make decisions. And then, of course, travel and enrichment programs, which are very limited right now. And this is what I wrote, is you do not have to go to Uganda to make a difference. You can help right here in your own backyard. And there is a lot of help to be had right here. Teach responsibility. Build self-confidence and self-worth by teaching through action. And if there's ever a time to have your kids be doing chores, it's during the closure. Let kids think, decide, experience trial and error by themselves. Support a skill set that includes wellness and a can-do attitude. Really, we're working really hard to teach resiliency in our students, and they're going to need that resiliency when they go off to college. The Harvard Grant study found that professional success in life comes from doing chores as a kid. The earlier you start, the better. And I've put a lot of TED Talks and YouTube videos on the Slow High website, which I did put tonight on the as a welcomer. And anyone can go to the Slow High counseling website and see all the things I've put on there that help with not just how to get to college, but parenting. Doing unpleasant work and building part of the whole team creates better employees. More and more employers are telling us they can find someone to do the job, but they can't find someone to fit in. And learning to fit in means you might have done unpleasant things in your life, and you're willing to do those to continue. What can students do to increase their chances for admission at those selective schools that we're talking about? And that includes the University of California, which only accepts about 9% of the senior class of statewide. Complete challenging courses and perform well in them. If you're not getting an A or a B in an advanced placement course or even a college course, probably you're in the wrong class, okay? You want to be doing well in those courses. Take advantage of other academic activities you're interested in. Cal Poly often offers little workshops. Anytime you see like a maker space or any kind of extra kind of things that you would like to do, take advantage of that. Pursue your passion and demonstrate progression, like I said. So don't join clubs when you're a senior. Join them as a freshman. Stay in that same club. You don't need to be in a lot of clubs. It's more important that you're in one or two, that you stay in them, that you become more involved. By junior or senior year, you're an officer and you've made a difference and you're able to articulate that difference. Try not to be a joiner, stand out. Okay, so that means start something new. Decide to start a club on campus that's new. Start something new with your friends or your neighbors. Place ample time and effort on test preparation as much as you do for an A in any specific course. And for parents of freshmen and sophomores, that's something to think about. So although this fall, class of 2021 is test optional for seniors, it probably won't be for your freshmen. And so oftentimes kids go through school and they're getting straight A's. But then, you know, they don't even prep for the test like the night before. And I always tell kids, hey, it's way too late to prep for content, but at least learn the rules of the game, you know, and get on the website for College Board, for SAT or the ACT, and get on those websites and practice a little and know what you're doing. But put as much emphasis on the testing as you do to work all semester long to get those great grades that all you kids are getting. I think it's really important to teach life skills before kids leave to college because that's what makes successful kids. I will tell you, about 10% of students are boomerang kids. They come back. And I know after working at San Luis High School, I can tell you, like, there are certain schools and certain states that we just get boomerang kids from, okay? When a child leaves your home, there are many, many things they must learn on campus by themselves without parental help. And the biggest one is when to go to bed. Okay. Do not add to the burden of learning how to study and self-monitoring. That self-monitoring is something it's really important to teach in high school. Instead, teach life skills for 4 years so they do not become stumbling blocks to college success. Okay. So learning how to get gas in your car, learning how to do your laundry, learning how to buy groceries, learning how to buy the toiletries that you might need. Okay. And don't let your kids off the hook. Let them learn the hard way now while you're here to support them. So, if they get a flat tire, have them call the AAA. If they haven't done well on something, let them fail, and you're there to still love them and support them. It's really difficult once they go away, because when they go away to college, they're trying to be so nice to so many people and make so many friends. And then the studying is a much heavier load. So that's the only two challenges they should have. They shouldn't have a challenge dealing with how to use a debit card or how to use a credit card or how to get gas in their car, whatever it might be. We learn through struggle. Resilience is an attribute college are looking for, and they want to hear about it. My son used as his college essays how he got in a car accident in high school and he totaled the car, and how he went about fixing the car enough to sell off parts to make enough money to buy another car, and how he, worked with different people selling all of these Honda parts all over the state. So people want to hear, colleges want to hear about your resilience. And the reason why is oftentimes kids who've gotten straight A's all through high school go to college and they might get their first C or D. And they have to be able to deal with that and know that, hey, pick yourself up and let's move along. 9th and 10th graders should know how to use an alarm clock, prepare a meal, make an appointment, create a legible signature, know how to ride a bike and the rules of the road, know how to use a bus, use a debit card, know how to use public transportation, and learn to call a business for information politely and properly. This is a great list for you to work on. Transition to college life is easier if teens know, number 1, how to advocate for themselves, how to learn from their mistakes, how to manage time, stay safe, memorize their social security number, use their same legal name on everything, how to write a thank you note, learn how to drive in high school. Your 21-year-old boyfriend does not want to teach you how to drive, and learn how to complete forms and properly submit them. Big thing, college acceptances. Being accepted to the college or university of your choice is a consequence of your focus, demonstrated achievement, and progression of passion. It's not because your parents worked hard. It's because you did. Guide for parents. You do no favors for your child by doing their work. Teach my son's wife. I said, well, was there anything we forgot? She goes, you should have taught him how to clean the kitchen floor. I was like, oh my goodness. Don't rescue your child in high school. They can skip a lunch and forget their homework. They need to have those opportunities. That way, when they're in college, they can do it themselves. Show and positively nudge your child to progress with all responsibilities. Your student's success is up to them, and you should support their efforts in every way, but do not be their effort. And remember, integrity is everything. Don't give it away. There's a ton of resources out there, but mostly I recommend the Slow High Counseling webpage for you all. I have just tons and tons on there. And talking about your video gaming, social media, texting, and Netflix is not a good idea in college essays. Life's a journey. Encourage your student to be their best at all time, including finishing things they start. Set up good examples of work habits. Be realistic about time and talents when talking about reach colleges. Please don't make everyone go to Stanford, or at least apply. The application's horrendous. Celebrating your child's successes and support their shortcomings. What teenagers learn along the way is just as important as their college enrollment. Please encourage them to enjoy high school. And there's a college out there for everyone. If you want to go to a 4-year, there's a college out there for everyone. And your high school is here to help. Okay? All right. We only have a half an hour. That's a really quickie. Oh, boy, oh, boy. I'm looking at the questions now really quick in the chat. As far as Janine Simon asks about money, I think having them have jobs, even if it's pet sitting on your neighborhood, watching other people's houses, babysitting, I do recommend that kids have their own debit card as a freshman. Maybe you go to the bank and put 50 bucks in it for them as a start, and they know how to use their own money. Oh, there's a survey attached to the chat about your experience at college night, and they're encouraging you to use that. I hope this went well for you. It's really hard not having the interaction that I so love when I'm in front of you personally, but thank you for being here today. I'm going to post my PowerPoint on the San Luis High School counseling website for you tonight. So it will be there if you want to look back at the full, because this is abridged because I normally do it over an hour. So I have a full PowerPoint for you, and it will be on the San Luis Obispo High School website under counseling. All right. Nice to meet you all.